Millsirp Garage here. Remington Model 51. Now, we're going to be moving into some of these pistols. You're going to be hearing a lot of the same names. For instance, this is a John Pedersen design. We've spoken at length about Pedersen. Everything from 22s to... this guy was all over the place. He was designing, he was in the running for a rifle that was going up against the M1 Garand, And it seemed like he was a much better designer than he was a businessman. That's kind of like why his stuff might have kind of fell by the wayside. It certainly didn't have anything to do with the innovation or the quality of the designs. They were different and successful to a point, but just like, for instance, he had a rifle competing with the M1 Garand, but it used its own proprietary ammo, its own round. Well, a smart businessman would have been like, well, if I stick with 3006, the government would be, why? They're not going to switch at that point to a different round. They're not going to, stockpile warehouses and ship new ammo all over the place. It's just, I think if he would have stuck with 3006 in his Pedersen rifle, which was interesting, if you take a look at it, it's got a toggle lock design, and which we're going to get into with these pistols at some point. Well, anyway, let's not get off on a tangent. Just suffice to say that he is an amazing guy to research, what he had going on. He was a really cool designer. We're going to be moving into these pistols, and I didn't want to just start with John Browning. I know you all know that John Browning's my favorite, but figured if I would have just started immediately with a John Browning examples. So last we had the Smith & Wesson. That couldn't be further away from a John Browning design. I don't think he had... There's no influence there with the Smith & Wesson Model 29. But here, this is the Remington Model 51. This was a pistol... They made about 65,000 of these. Not a tremendous amount, which is... we'll get into later why that was a little bit of a problem for me. Because I had a part that I needed. And they're not the easiest to find parts for. They made these in 32 ACP, 380 ACP. We're going to get into these calibers too. I wanted to do a video on the different pistol caliber rounds, kind of like before I got into these pistols, but it doesn't look like that's happening. We're probably going to stick the ammunition video right in the middle, unless I feel like holding on to this one and doing it after. We'll see. But these were made from 1918 to 1927. And Remington was kind of weird when they kind of stopped production or something and they had parts laying around. They kind of slowly but surely put together the rest of them over the years. So there are some of them that are 28s, 29s, and 1930s that were released, but they were just kind of like leftover parts. But you could kind of put 1918 to 1927 as its actual official window of being built. It was designed in 1917. So they didn't hold on to the design long. They started putting it into production immediately. Now the thing about these is that you're going to notice with these pistols we're going to have different types of actions. So there's a locked breech design and a blowback design. With the rifles, we never really so much got into how the actions functioned, especially with those 22s. They're all just when you deal with semi-autos, there's a lot of timing going on and stuff. And my earlier videos where I was talking about the M1 Garand and stuff, I think I might have touched on that kind of stuff, but never really got into it in depth. That is the most interesting thing about these auto loaders, is that it's not so easy as just going the exploding round cycles the action. It's how? How does that happen? And there's a lot going on there. So we're going to start with one of the most complex designs it's not even really that understood. This one has its own name. It's actually called a hesitation lock. But there's a lot of people that say, no, it's a locked breech design. It's not hesitation. And there's others that say, no, it's not. It's just a straight blowback. It's a blowback design, but you can't say that it's a blowback design. It definitely has a different kind of action incorporated into it. It's kind of weird to just start here because you'd want a baseline with some of the others first, but let's get into mine exactly here. This one is manufactured in 1925, so it's more towards the end of production. So it's what's called a Type 2. The Type 1 and the Type 2 are identifiable by the slide here, how many ribs are in the slide, and exactly what else changed, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what designates the Type 1s and the Type 2s. There were 2,474 of these made in 380. This one is a 380. There were 2,474 of these made in 380 in 1925. So they kept pretty good records for me to be able to find that, you know. And yeah, and you'll see these serial numbers start with PA. That stands for Pedersen Automatic. I'm sorry, Pedersen. Call it Pedersen. Pedersen Automatic. And one of the claim to fame for this thing is that it doesn't have a single screw. If you notice, even the grip panels, supposedly grip panels attached with a screw was patented by John Browning. That freaking guy patented everything. And speaking of patents, let me get into this right away. What did I do with that? I have my own folder here for this gun. You see, this is the Remington 51 folder where I have printed out my patents so I can, it's just such an ingenious gun. We'll see, we'll touch on it a little bit. And I love how these patents explain exactly. See, and this one goes quite in depth because, see that? There's a lot going on here with how this thing functions. And then it's interesting, there's other Pedersen, when you look it up, like on Google, you put in the patent number, and then it'll show his name, and you could highlight his name and just click on his name. They'll show you every patent he owns. I thought this one was interesting, and I stuck it in here. He owns a patent for a different type of rifling. So this is showing the like an A-axis view looking down the barrel of how a different type of rifling. And again, explaining it in full here, you know. So take a look at those patents, you'll dig it. But the ones specifically listing what the patents are for this gun, this is only one. He has like a whole bunch of patents for this particular gun. So let's get into it here. This is it. 380 caliber. It has a little turn safety right on the back here that shuts everything down. It doesn't click on and off, it just kind of slides. It's kind of meant to be a safety so that you have a safety, but if you just don't even care and never want to touch it, it fits into like a little recess in the grip panel here, and it's almost like you never even have to know it exists. Would never accidentally get hit. You just forget all about it, kind of. But it does have a grip safety here. This was kind of popular back then, so that you had to be in there holding it to for it to fire. And then what's interesting is if you press on that grip safety, and it's the bolt hole, the slide hold back, and a lot of people, they don't even realize that. I've shown that to people that said they've had these things for years and they didn't even know it did that. As far as let's see, do I have some 380 snap caps here. Let's here's the magazine release here on the side, and it's not really one of those magazines that shoots out into your hand. These kind of were all the same. These pocket pistols, they all kind of just the magazine just kind of released, but you had to pull it out manually. It was like kind of like the thing with these. And there it is. There's it loading, nice and smooth. And there it is. It's an interesting pistol in the respect that, sorry, one of those landed in a weird spot. You like, just get them later, dude. But one of them landed in a spot where I never thought I'd see it again, so I just wanted to grab that. Here's what's interesting about it. It has a much lighter slide than most of these kind of pistols, which makes it very sleek. And it was they supposedly spent a lot of research with this thing as to that when you would hold it, it would be like a good instinct shooter. See, a lot of these pocket pistols, they were made where you would pull this thing out of your pocket, and they all had, look at the sights on this thing. I mean, they're barely visible. And a lot of the time, the sights would be, the sights were just an afterthought almost, because these things, you would just kind of pull it out of your pocket and unload these things at close range without even actually bringing it up to your eye level. It was like kind of like an instinct shooting gun. They certainly weren't made for, long distance or any kind of like target or like marksmanship kind of stuff. It was made to just pull out of your pocket or not, or even shoot through your coat pocket. Instinct shooting, and just to unload. That's why these calibers, they're like 32, they say is like underpowered, but it's perfect for what it's made for. It's made to fit inside a small gun that fits in your pocket and just fits right in your hand. It's not much bigger than you actually holding your hand out and pointing like that. You know what I mean? And it also, besides my broken crooked finger, let's use my left hand with the unbroken finger. If you notice, just picking it up and just holding it naturally in your hand, it kind of goes where like your finger would point. Because they wanted to make this thing where it's like if you were just holding it without, just like this, like, and you fired it, like they wanted it to be like where your eyes would go, where you think it would shoot. And they kind of designed it that way to be like ergonomic. They actually had advertising campaigns where it's like, it shoots right where you're looking, like you don't even have to aim it, kind of vibe to it, and it is true, like it is like that. It kind of like does shoot right where you're looking. If you just put your finger on it and you don't sight down and you just look at a target 20 feet away and you pull the trigger, it's kind of going to go where you're looking. It's amazing that they actually did the proper amount of research. And it's this slide is able to be this small, and it's able to be this light, because it isn't a typical blowback design. Like with a blowback design, there's nothing preventing the slide from going back except for the recoil spring, and that's matched to the power of the ammo. So it's basically just one unit that just travels back because of the explosion, the gas pressure from the explosion, ejects the round, picks up a new round, and closes. So the slide has to be heavy to counteract, especially with 380. The slide and the spring would have to be heavy, and the spring would have to be tight. But this slide is very light and the spring is very loose. It's very mushy because it has a different kind of design. Let's get into it right now. I'll show you the takedown on this thing, which is a little on the odd side. You see there's a pin here and a recess here. So it would, I have to have the grip safety pressed for it to move. So you would kind of want that pin to be lined up with the notch in the slide. And then that pin would come through. So we're going to do it from this side, obviously, which is where it comes from. So I'm going to get my fingernail on that pin. Let's see if I could do it this way. And I'm just going to pull the slide forward some. And I'm going to push this pin to see if that's the spot right there. Let's get it through. Let's try that again. Try to keep this on camera. And there we go. One more time. There we go. There's it starting to move. And then we come around to the other side. And we get our nail. Oh, banged it into the table and it reset. Man, there's thunder and lightning going on out there. A little bit of trouble. See, I think I was messing with this the other day, and I was having no problem doing it toolless, like without tools, because I think I had nails, and I cut my nail. I trimmed my nails, and I can't do it now. I might need to. Oh wait. Let's use this hand because I think I have a nail here. All right, now that we got it out, let's see if I can get behind it. All right, there we go. So now this pin, let's take up the slack a little bit, and we pull the pin out. There we go. We got the pin out. Now here's what's interesting about it. You'll never see another gun take down like this. You pull the slide back, you hold it with your finger, you grab the barrel, that's why it's like kind of like serrated right here, and you just pull the whole, did I do it? I didn't do it. You hold it back and you pull. Whoa. Oh. Wow. Lightning just struck right outside my crib. And there was an explosion. Did you hear that? First was the lightning. Then there was an explosion, and that must have been like the transformer that powers my home. Let me see, are the lights on? Oh, lights are flashed. Hold on a minute. Hold the phone. I'll be right back. Wow, that was dangerous. Charlie, what happened? Yo, Charlie's here. Hold on. Guys, lightning just struck. Like, the transformer for my house is literally 2 houses away. Like, the flash and the bang came at exactly the same time. Then there was an explosion. Explosions are never good. Listen, guys are sticking with me. We're going to continue. I refuse to be. How are we going to do this? Let's see. Where could I hang this? Where could I hang this light? We're going to do this, guys. We're hanging in there. Stick with me. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. We're okay. Wow, that is the hardest. That is the hardest rain I've ever seen. Totally wild. This is like a chaos live stream or something. Oh my God. There's another one. There's another. The sun is out though. This is crazy. That was sick. That was totally sick. So, let's do that takedown thing again. Where can I, let me see if can I tie this on here? How will this work? Too much of a shadow. No. Grip. You know what's, I didn't take the magazine out. You grab the front here and you pull the whole assembly right off. This is not going to work because it's nowhere near bright enough to show you how cool this gun is. Might have to bail. Might have to bail and come back. If I just had something where I could, maybe I could, hold on. This candle is doing nothing. I don't know how. Do you imagine that some of these things were actually built with candle power? You know, and designed with candle power. It's amazing to think that because candle power sucks. Alrighty, where are we? Here we are. This is what we're left with here. I want the power to go back on. We're pretty good here. Let me see what's going on outside. Hold on. It's total chaos. So it looks like the transformer right outside my house is okay. It appears to be a transformer that's maybe a little bit down the block. Because because the one that's right outside on the pole does not look exploded. But it's weird because it tried to come back on a couple of times. It was like the thing was frying and it like flickered back and forth a few times. It was the ghost of John Pedersen. It was like, you're messing up this whole video, dude. Can I do it like that? Like that? Oh, that doesn't really work. Well, why is the only thing I have this stupid flashlight? I should have a huge battery-powered flashlight is what I should have, but I don't. And that's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. Let's see, can I put... Yeah, I can put this on here. Well, there we go. That kind of works. Did I say that works? Did I say that? I'm not sure if I said that. There we go. That'll stay. All right. Let's continue on, people, while the world melts down. And if this video looks terrible at the end, we'll just bail on it. But I'm committed. So now you have the receiver, the pin, and the magazine. And this part, let me see, am I lined up here on the camera? Can you see? All right, I can't create a shadow over there. All right, good. So as long as I stay like this. Now here's what's interesting. Look at what you have here. You have, if you could see, there's a barrel. This can lock. You can press this and turn it like this and lock this up here and leave just this part. This is called the breech block or breech bolt. And if you see, it moves in here. See how it moves? This is what's unique. Because usually with these types of guns, the barrels are fixed. These blowback pistols, the barrels are fixed. And the slide contains the breech face, and it's all just locked in place. But with this one, it isn't. There's movement here. I'm going to show you exactly. Well, I'm going to show you as close as I can tell what this actually does, because it utilizes this spot right here, and it utilizes parts here to kind of lock for a second. And what it needs to do is, if you could figure out, you're a firearms designer here, so just imagine that you're a firearms maker. You need this explosion to make everything function. But you only want to utilize a part of that explosion, because the very beginning of the explosion, like when the bullet is headed down and it's like over here, if this opens up, oh my God, you're opening up. You know what comes out? You ever see pictures of what comes out of the barrel? It's like, it looks almost like those pictures of the supersonic jets. It's like a huge cone. It's like a tremendous amount of pressure, like tens of thousands of pounds of pressure like that. And I hope that number's correct. It's somewhere in there. And if that comes out of here, it's going to be like blowing right in your face or on your hand or whatever. It's just, that's not the kind of pressure you want to release from here. You want this, or not only that, when this starts to go back, the slide starts to go back, you start exposing the case. You understand what I'm saying? So like, let's just use one of these large ones just as an example. When you start exposing this now, it's like, bang, it starts going back, and you start exposing the brass, and the bullet's only here. That pressure is here. You blow out the side of the case. You would rupture the case because it's not supported by the barrel walls anymore. You know what I mean? So it's a tough thing to design it to work perfectly, where it has to kind of wait a second. So most of these designs, they actually lock everything together until the bullet's out, and then somehow figure out a way to make the slide move. You know, so like the inertia of it first getting going is enough to move the slide. This is kind of called a hesitation lock. You see that its beginning movement, the beginning movement involves, let's just say I was able to hold on to this with my finger. This would move without that connected to it. You understand? Like this would move it first, and then making no sense. Let's take it apart. So this, if you push this back, you can get your nail in. Here's another. I wanted to do this with no tools, so I wanted to show that Pedersen did design it where this could be taken apart without using a tool. And I wanted to do it that way, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. You need some nails, but let's see, I can get this. Yes, I got it. So that's the breech block. Look at how that's all skeletonized. It seems almost like a part like that would be fragile, right? It is. Let me explain to you what happened with this. I bought this gun. I fired it. I went to the range and fired it. Now look what's interesting. See the firing pin right in here? I'm going to have to get... Ooh. I can't see anything. I can't see what's going on. There's a springing here and the firing pin. Here's the firing pin. Ba-boom. And this part right here, after the third shot, it shattered. It shattered into pieces. I'll show it to you. I have it here. I'm not even kidding. That's a whole story in itself, because there was a guy at the range that, like, you know, it was kind of like, I know what I'm doing. Boy, I hope he's not. I hope somehow that guy doesn't know who I am and watch this video. I don't want to speak disparagingly. He was trying to help. But there's some guys that they jump in right away and they're just like, I have knowledge, let me help, I have knowledge, this is what you need to do. You need to put it on the edge of the table and push because you have a brass stuck in there. And I was like, it's more than a brass stuck in there. I think something broke, you know, so I want to be really careful. It's a hesitation lock pistol, so the breech block does weird things. And he was like, yeah, the brass is stuck. Just press it on the edge of the table. And he was like so insistent to press it on the edge of the table to try to eject the brass, because it was just kind of like, it was just locked up. And I didn't let him do it. And then he was like, fine, do it yourself. Don't get any help from me. And he acted kind of mean. And when I got home, sure enough, I took it apart, and this was shattered into pieces. And one piece is gone. I think when either at the range when I tried to rack it, it fell out, or right there when it exploded, it fell out somehow, or when I got back here and finally worked on it for half an hour and figure out how to get it apart. Thank God I was able to get it apart. I think one of those pieces, the other side might have fallen and I lost it or something. But so this had shattered, and I was like, I shouldn't have used that critical defense 380 ammo. I should have just used real benign, you know, tame ammo. And then a friend of mine that knows this shit was like, that's not what did it. It was just probably cracked to begin with. I don't know, but then I found out that it's impossible to get one of these. So, of course, I broke a gun. I called every single parts place all across the country. I was talking to old men in Arizona that have been doing this for 50 years that are like, you ain't going to find one of those, sonny. Nope, no way. I haven't seen one in 30 years. And if I did, I sure wouldn't tell you about it. Well, that's what I was dealing with. So what I had to do was, oh jeez, there goes my lighting system. I can't even touch the table, or it's like spilling. Why do I have to deal with this? So what I did was I bought a whole other gun, minus the receiver. So this is literally, look what I literally bought it, a whole entire gun. It was like a couple of hundred and change, which isn't terrible considering somebody could have probably charged a couple of hundred and change just for the breech block. No, but here's what I want to show you. This is the other slide. Remember I said this is the type 1 slide. See the type 2? Now we can compare them. See the type 2? It has more ribs, and here's the type 1 with less ribs. So anyway, I have a whole other gun, and it came with a magazine, which is cool, because these magazines aren't easy to find. So I had a magazine, so now I have an extra mag. I have 2 mags. And I have every other part for it, just in case something else breaks, I suppose. And where did that part go? And there it is. There's the broken part. Straighten that out later. So by doing that, I was able to get my part. And then this is always a pain in the neck. I hate to take it apart because it's kind of like a pain. But Pedersen was like on crack when he figured out how to. What you do is you get that ring seated up in like a groove that's right there, and then you could kind of manipulate this to get the barrel out, see? And then trust me when I tell you, you can push that ring in and then the spring and that bushing come out, but a little bit of struggling to get it back together, and I don't want to bore you guys. This video is already going off track. I don't need to struggle with that for 25 minutes. So let's just hope this goes right straight back in without a struggle. Oh, no. No, it's not going right. All right, I can fix this. Hold on. My dowel. Always have like these wooden dowels laying around. Trust me, they come in really, really handy. They never can scratch a gun, ever, no matter what, ever. It's not happening. Oh my God, thank God. All right, so it's not fully, there we go. Now that locks up on the side so you could, you know, do your other things. I'm sorry, guys. This channel's going, it's going south. It's going south. I would have thought I got the power back on. This would be a good time for the power to come back on, by the way, so that we have our excitement, but we could continue with our video. And now, what goes in next? Oh, I have to put the firing pin. So the firing pin, what's interesting about the firing pin, it's orientated like that, with the spring over it like this. And then what I like to do is I like to tilt it back like that, and then grab it with the tweezer and feed it in. Then once you feed that in, breech block goes over it and down and around, and then barrel locked back into place. Oh, I forgot. I was going to put that breech block on top of here and show you where it locks in. Well, forget it. You're gonna have to just use your imagination. And then this goes right back on. Pin. Charlie's bugging out. Charlie is still around, and Charlie does not like the fact that power's out. What's up, dude? Oh, he came in. He never comes in the Millsurp garage anymore. He's upset. He knows there's issues. He could sense it. He could sense the lack of power. I'm trying to get this in. And success. Here we go. Nice. Magazine in. Complete. So where do we go from here? Where do we have to go now? What do we want to talk about? Oh, check this out. You could see when this first starts to move, you see how the breech block stays up. Should I tape it on? I could put a piece of tape across there. Oh. The breech block, if you can see. Can you see? Millsurp Garage coming to you from the garage of no power. I think I gotta just throw in the towel. I don't even have anything to hold a flashlight. I'm taping a flashlight to a cell phone holder. All right. So you could see that in here, that breech block, when I'm moving it like this, that first little bit, it does not move. It's attached to the barrel still. You see that? That's what the hesitation is. That's why it's called a hesitation lock. That's locked there. Then when it gets to this point, it separates. But that's long enough. That movement right there is long enough where the bullet gets to exit the barrel before it opens. And you could test a lot of these. See, if it was a straight blowback design, if you pushed a dowel in here and pushed, you would just push the slide all the way back. But watch. See how it locks? That means when the explosion goes off, when the round gets set off and it goes bang and the bullet starts traveling, Bang, this locks. So the recoil is taken up. That's why it's a softer feel and the slide can be lighter. It's not just rocketed right to the rear against the spring pressure. It locks here. Then, see, like even though I'm still pushing, I'm going to use my fingers to push the slide. The slide continues with just momentum. And then you see how it unlocked it? So watch, it goes bang, it locks. Then the momentum still pushes. See the slide still moving. Then when it gets right here, see how it unlocks right there. And then the whole thing travels back, ejects, comes forward, picks up around, and closes. And moves forward. Did you see it move forward there again? Watch. Again, bang. Slide is going all on its own. Then unlocks. The whole thing now travels back. I'm still pushing with the dowel. Now it ejects, and then it comes forward, picks up around. There you go. That's the design that he perfected there. Only the Pedersen, the Model 51, does that. And what else could I come up with this for this thing? I guess that's about it. This is the weirdest video ever. The power explosion video. Listen, we'll bring this back, okay? Don't worry. If you want to see it under better light, don't worry about it, because we're going to delve into these pocket pistols. Trust me, we're going to do like we did with the 22s. Just stick with me. I'm getting 100 hits. 100 hits per... What's you matter, Chucky? What happened, buddy? Did the power explode? I'm getting like 100 hits on these videos, and I like that. I'm digging it like that. As if I have 100 people that are interested in this, I can imagine that's like giving a seminar. 100 people sitting in a room giving a seminar. That's not a bad seminar. I would give that seminar. So I'm going to do that, and we're going to talk about these different pocket pistols, and we're going to come back to them. I would use the 44 Magnum to come back to do some kind of comparison, but there really isn't any. When we get into these pocket pistols, I'm going to be bringing out, remember we spoke about this one because it did this, and boom, I'm going to be switching around. So you're going to see more of this guy. We're going to do a lot of comparisons back and forth as we go forward. So as we move into different ones, we're just going to keep going back and relating them to ones we've covered already. So stick around, stand by. I promise you we will have power in the next video. I don't know if it will continue for the whole video. And if this looks like crap, I'm gonna revisit. But if it's just so dark that nothing can be seen, we'll come back and revisit. And until then, we'll see you very soon. I have some time off coming up. I know I keep saying I'm gonna roll with these videos, but now that I got moving with these pocket pistols, I'm going to barrage you, and I'm just going to hit you one after the other with them. So get your pocket pistol cap on, and let's rock and roll. Talk to you soon.